So I'd like to give a warm welcome to Stewart Gilchrist.
Put your right hand up if you can hear me. Put your left hand up if you masturbated this morning. The first thing you did this morning may have been masturbation. You never know, huh? Hi there. Please, if you're sitting comfortably, make sure you can hear me all right and you're in a comfortable place. We are not going to, this is billed as modern yoga. We are not going to do what you know as modern yoga. My name's Stewart, and I'm very embarrassed at the moment to call myself a yoga teacher. I've been doing it for 25, 30 years, yoga. And one of the really embarrassing things about it is what modern yoga has become. And what it's become is a series of gymnastics, a series of exercises that people do, handstands and back bends and headstands. And we do all that shit, yeah, that's all like there. It's all part of what they call Hatha Yoga. But I want to just remind you about getting up this morning to start and how I was going to fit in what I was going to talk about in half an hour, because I could speak a lot longer on modern yoga and the concepts of modern yoga for a lot more than half an hour. But I wanted to have a little play with you with breathing exercises. And one of the things that you did this morning when you did wake up, one of the things you did when you were first born, the first inhalation was the first thing you ever took. And the last thing you'll ever take on this planet in your body is your last exhalation. The first thing you did when you woke up this morning was you breathed in. You didn't. We used to wake up and breathe and yawn. Now you lot break up and go like this. And you go on your WhatsApp and you go on your social media, or you masturbate, one of the three. So you get up and you don't think about breathing, do you? You don't get up and do, oh, it's time for my meditation and pranayama exercise. And I want you to get up and do my meditation and my pranayama exercise, because it's much better than getting up and looking at your mobile phone. So the first thing I want you to do is I want to challenge you. I want to have a little challenge, and I want you to remember me for one thing, that when you wake up every morning, masturbate. Then put your phone away for half an hour and don't look at it. Try getting up and don't look at your phone for 30 minutes. Do you think you could do that? Raise your right hand if you think you can do that. Raise your left hand if you're going to try and do it. That was your right hand. There's a very famous techie person, and what he does when he goes into work in the morning, you'd know who he was if I told you his name. He has a time safe, and he takes his mobile phone and he puts it in a time safe, and it's locked until 12:30. Then he puts it back in again at 1 o'clock, and he takes his phone out again, and he has it another half hour, then he puts it back in the safe until 4:30. He's the most productive techie person in the world, if you knew who he was. Maybe you should try that as well. Maybe you should try buying yourself for €30 a little safe that's got a timer on it, and put your mobile phone in it, and only use it for half an hour a day when you have a break from your work. I guarantee if you do those two challenges and those two things, you'll be a much better person. No yoga involved, no asanas, no standing on one leg, no doing back balances, just doing that one little bit of yoga, because yoga means to be disciplined. It means to have a discipline. In the big Sanskrit dictionary, there's 400 definitions of what yoga means. The first is not union. It's not yoking. It's discipline. So if you in your profession, whatever you do, can just invoke that little bit of discipline into your life, you'll be a better person. Your lover will thank you for it. She'll love you for it. Your children will love you for it. Your employer will absolutely adore you for it, because you'll be so much more productive than sitting doing insta-wank all day long. I'm really big on masturbation as a yoga teacher, by the way. Masturbation and breathing at the same time. So that's the two challenges. That's the two challenges I'm setting out for you in this little talk. If you remember me for one thing, make sure it's what you do when you wake up in the morning. Half an hour without looking at your mobile phone. Once you've looked at your mobile phone, 20 minutes meditation, not talking, sitting still. After your 20 minutes meditation, 1 hour of asana, 1 hour of physical exercise. Then you can start your day and have breakfast. That's the discipline that I ask my students to follow. That's the discipline that I think all of you should follow, because that's the discipline that helped me, and I know that discipline will help you if you could apply it to your daily life. Now, the thing that's most ignored in modern yoga, I've actually got a little set of bullet points just in case I forget what I can cover in half an hour. But I started yoga and I thought it was all about gymnastics and being able to put my big toe behind my head and do all these fantastic postures. And I did Ashtanga yoga for 15 years in Mysore, in India, in London, in Maui, in California, in LA, in New York. And I still, for years and years, thought it was all about doing postures. And then I learned to breathe. And then I learned that to actually make it a spiritual practice and to have this concept of unification, of union of mind, body, and spirit, you needed to be able to connect with your soul. And your soul's quite a difficult thing for a lot of people to connect with. So you can do the postures, you can calm the mind, but how do you connect with your soul? And after about 12, 13 years, I worked it out. I eventually worked it out that it was to do with your breath. That the most important thing in your life and your children's life is their breathing. Please send your children to a school that teaches them how to breathe at the age of 5. They will be less violent, they will not suffer from anxiety and panic attacks, and they'll be adorable children because someone taught them the basic of life, and the basic of life is breathing. It's the first thing you did, as I say, and it's the last thing you'll do before you die. And if you don't master breathing, everything else is going to become quite onerous in life, because that's the most basic thing. We can all go to, there's maybe a few doctors here or surgeons. If we have an accident physically, we can have a new limb. We can have a new lung. We can have a new kidney. We can have a new heart. You can't have a new breath. You can't have a breath transplant. No one's quite sussed out how to do a breath transplant yet. So this most important aspect of your daily life and your whole being, while you've got a body, which I like to remind you quite depressingly, is for a very short period of time. Nobody will be here in 100 years' time. You're all dead. You're all dead. Your bodies have gone and finished. What's left of you is what yogis call your Atman, your soul, your spirit. And that's quite hard for a lot of techie people and science people to grasp, that yoga's about discovering your soul and realizing what I call in the punk science of it, that spirit and soul is as technical and as scientific as science itself. So mastering breath actually is the link from the physical and the psychological to the spiritual world. If you've ever experienced any entheogenic plants, magic mushrooms, ayahuasca, LSD, you will have no problem accepting there's a spiritual world, because most people who have had hallucinogenic visions, even if it's a pharmacological one with LSD 125 or any other hallucinogenic drugs, you will see what people who use entheogenic plants are plants traditionally like peyote, San Pedro, ayahuasca, mushrooms. People who have experienced proper hallucinogenic episodes or altered states with those plants will verify quite openly for you that spiritual worlds exist, because you get a glimpse of them with those plants. You also got a huge glimpse of them if you practice yoga properly. The great thing I found about yoga is I didn't need LSD anymore. I didn't need mushrooms. I didn't need smoking shit marijuana. I didn't need alcohol. I could experience that whole vista of altered states through yoga, primarily through my body, my breath, and my concentration and my mind. Body, mind, spirit. So what I'm going to teach you just quite shortly, because we don't get much time and we're not going to do any jumping about postures or anything physical, I'm going to just prove to you that you're all breathing wrong. You all breathe wrong all day long, especially if you're a woman. Sorry about that, women. But women tend to think, because they've been indoctrinated by male society, that your body should look a certain way. And in a misogynist hetero society, what is it my friend calls it? A capitalist hetero misogynist society, she calls it. You've been conditioned to suck your tummy in and look skinny here. My tummy goes in and it sucks in inordinately in what we call a bandha. But you've been taught since you were a little girl to breathe wrong. So what I want you to do is just close your eyes. Close your eyes and take both your hands and just put them underneath your trouser line here on your belly. And then just sit still for a moment. It's got nothing to do with masturbation, promise. He lied. So put your hands just under your trouser line and close your eyes, and what you can feel is your belly, your stomach, yeah? And I want you just to stay there for 10, 15, 20 seconds and just breathe in through your nose and blow out through your mouth. So breathe in through your nose and blow out through your mouth, and just watch what your tummy does. Just watch what your stomach does. As you inhale, the tendency is to suck your belly in. And on your exhale, your tendency is usually to keep sucking your belly in, because you've been brainwashed, because you've been conditioned by society to believe that you should be skinnier, to believe that you should look in a certain way. So you don't want your big gut to come out, do you? So now I want you to reverse that and breathe normally. As you inhale, push your belly out so you fill your trousers right up. As you inhale, fill your belly up from the center of your navel. And then as you exhale, let your tummy contract in the way and watch what happens. As you inhale, push the center of your tummy out and fill your trousers up with the inhale. Then on the exhale, let your tummy contract and watch how much it comes in towards your spine. Inhale, watch your belly extend. And then exhale, let your belly contract naturally. Inhale, watch your belly extend and let your trousers get full up with your belly and don't hold back. Then exhale, bring your tummy back in. It will naturally come in towards your spine. Inhale, bring your belly out. Last time, your navel out. And then exhale, just bring your belly in towards your spine again. It will happen naturally. You won't have to do anything. And then just slowly get your breath, blow your breath out through your lips. And then open your eyes. That's how a baby breathes. Any parents here? Watch your babies when they were lying on their stomach, when they were breathing and their stomach distended on their in-breath, and they looked really weird. Wow, look at the size of her stomach. There's something wrong with her stomach. That's normal breath. What you do every morning when you wake up is reverse breathing. You've been brainwashed into breathing in reverse all your life because of that pressure that society puts on you to have a flat gut. Look at the great Indian swamis. They've got big bellies. That's not just chapati and rice. That's because they know how to strengthen in their lower abdomen and let their navel become strong. When you learn to breathe normally, things in life will be a lot easier because you won't constantly be going. You won't constantly be going. and holding your breath in. And you won't have any natural cadence to your breath because it's almost creating a tension in your shoulders and your chest and your gut and your ovaries and your testicles to be tight. And you've had that ever since you can remember. So that's one little breath that you can learn to let go of your belly. On the inhale, let your belly really extend. And then exhale, learn to suck it in. Eventually, you'll learn that that's normal breathing. And if you practice yoga regularly, you'll learn that there is a breath that brings your belly in, and you hold your belly in, and you apply something that we call a bandha, a lock. It's called Uddiyana Bandha, this lock in your stomach, which if you look at some pictures of yogis, you'll see them having very concave stomachs. Well, that comes from Uddiyana Bandha, which is a very, very advanced technique which we do in breathing. The second little breath I want you to do, just before you start, how many people actually practice yoga? About half. There are 1.4 billion people in the world that practice yoga every day. 1.4 billion. More people practice yoga every day than jog. Okay, so those of you who didn't put your hand up are going to be in a very, very unhealthy, sad, depressed minority soon. Because yoga will make you happy, it will make you content, it will make you less greedy and less selfish in your life just by doing some exercises at first, just by doing some breathing and synchronized exercises. Now, the most popular type of those 1.4 million people, most of them are practicing what we call vinyasa yoga, which means the postures they do are connected to their breath. So the movement is connected to their breath, except you do it with your whole body, obviously. I would say 57 to 75%, according to some scientists, of all yoga classes do that type of yoga. So the breath is seen in that type of yoga as important as the actual postures, as the actual what we call asana. An asana is a seat, by the way, not strictly a posture. It's the seat of how you lay your body out. So how many of you that do yoga every day, how many of you know a mantra? How many of you who don't do yoga every day know a mantra? So most of you are liars. Because you all know a mantra. Because you've all been aware of people wearing them round their neck, having them tattooed in their body. And it's a little symbol called Om. So you all know a mantra. So why are you fooling yourself you don't know a mantra? If you've ever been to India, if you've ever looked at anybody's tattooed body in London, there'll be an Om somewhere. And if you've ever been to India and you've ever seen if you've been to Goa, if you've been anywhere in India, you'll be familiar with Om. So you all know a mantra. So you can all chant a mantra. So you can all take your hands, put them out to the side and hold your neighbour's hand. Take your neighbour's hand and hold your neighbour's hand. This could be the start of a good masturbation session, you never know. So you might get a girlfriend out of this. Hold her hand. Yes, I met her at DEPT Festival with some weird Scottish guy talking about wanking. Hold her hand and then sit still and close your eyes. Now, all you skeptics who said, I don't know any mantras, I don't do any yoga and I don't do any mantras, of course you fucking do. It's called Om. It's everywhere. And this planet, if you're a scientist, you will find out that this planet resonates at a background frequency, and it's the same as Om. So close your eyes and just think of that syllable. Ah. And try making that syllable with a square mouth. Try it. Ah. To make the first syllable of Om, you have to make an ah sound with a square mouth. The second syllable you can do is if you're blowing a kiss. Try going, oh. Close your eyes, hold your neighbour's hand and try, Oh. You must do it a bit louder than that. The first one was square mouth. Ah. The second one was blowing a kiss through your lips. Oh. And the third one is just squeeze your vaginal wall. Guys, you don't have a vaginal wall. Hard fucking luck. You've got a lower sphincter and an upper sphincter. Squeeze your lower sphincter tight, squeeze your upper sphincter tight and go, mm. Vaginal walls, upper sphincter. Mm. So that's 3 little syllables. And they're the most sacred sound for 1.4 billion Hindus in this world. So don't disrespect it, huh? It's chanted with reverence. Ah with a square mouth. O with your lips. And with Uddiyana Bandha in your perineum. Close your eyes, hold your neighbour's hand, remember. Could be your best dating yoga ever. Little bit louder. Do it louder, do it longer. Open your eyes. Take a big breath in. Blow out through your lips and have a little sigh. Just go, oh. Oh. Now, my least favourite person in the world is Boris Johnson, okay? So, if you can take your tongue and get your least favourite, Salvini, Trump, Boris Johnson, there's a Dutch one as well. You can't hide Dutch people. There's another white supremacist somewhere over there, huh? Take your tongue and touch your chin. Ah! One for Steve Bannon. Ah! One for Boris fucking Johnson. Ah! Good. I should teach you a little bit more breathing, right? Because there's one more breath I want to teach you, but you'll notice I've got a bit of advertising, a bit of branding on. And I'm part of something called Extinction Rebellion. My anarchist yoga teacher, and he was an anarchist from Mysore called Swami Niramalanda, he never spoke for 30 years. He practiced silence. And that's another thing you should try and practice in your life. Learn to shut up for a bit, huh? Shutting up's good. Talking too much shit is nonsense. So my teacher never spoke for 30 years. And he was known as the anarchist guru. So he was also a leading environmentalist of his generation, and Extinction Rebellion is all about the 6th extinction. We call it the climate emergency. And the people that can change that state of climate emergency are sitting here right now. The people who are involved in the digital world, in the consumer world of tech, are the people who can make the difference. Pretty soon we'll have a country as big as South Africa full of wasted tech equipment, and it'll become a landfill. Already Africa is being poisoned. Its water table is being poisoned by being used as a rubbish tip for China and the West. So I don't want to finish on breathing. I want to finish on climate change. I want to finish on the environment, because the breath cleans the body. And when you're breathing, it's pretty useless if you're breathing in toxicity. So if you're teaching your children to breathe, it's pretty useless teaching your children to breathe in an oxygen or an air, an environment that's full of nitrites and full of poison. So another thing I urge you to do is ditch your diesel car and ditch your meat addiction, because your meat addiction is as poisonous, much more poisonous than your flying. And it's much more poisonous than your diesel cars. So if we can change one little thing in our life, stop eating meat, please stop eating meat for the cow's sake. and for the environment's sake, for your children's sake. Because the methane that's produced by one cow is much more damaging than one car for a year. Much more damaging than flying a short distance flight, even though the media and the activists would let you believe otherwise. The biggest contributor to methane poisoning is the meat industry and the dairy industry. So there's lots of vegan options here. Try to work towards a plant-based diet, a vegan plant-based diet, which is based on ahimsa. And try to remember that if we can change you've got 5 years. All climate change scientists are agreed that the adaptation strategy is to start now, and we've got 5 years before the planet slips into non-reversible situation. The adaptation strategy, you can find it online, you can find it under Extinction Rebellion and the academics behind Extinction Rebellion. But one of the words that we use a lot of is relinquishment. And you might have to relinquish some of your material goods, especially in the fashion industry, especially in the food industry, in the travel and automation industry, and in your flying habits. You might have to relinquish something. And that takes me back to where I started, that yoga is a discipline. And if you can't live without certain things in your life, your children aren't going to have a life. Your children and their children will not have a planet. It will resemble something like Cormac McCarthy, The Road. It will resemble a dystopian future that Trump, Salvini, Boris Johnson, Marine Le Pen, and all those white supremacists will bring about for you, because both those issues are tied in. They don't care about anything but their own well-being and profit and power, whereas Extinction Rebellion wants people to take hold of that power and practice what we call karma yoga. Karma yoga being the yoga of action. So if you could just close your eyes again, put your hands in a prayer, take a breath, close your eyes, and try and make one little vow, one little prayer to yourself. On top of the phone, remember, get up, don't look at your phone for 30 minutes, and just take 20 seconds now to pray for the well-being of something. If you think praying is a load of wank, don't go to a meditation class, because meditation is praying. It's praying for the betterment and the well-being of others. So just try for a moment to pray. Hopefully your little prayer will come true. It's really appreciated you sat so well, so still, and didn't even resort to masturbation. Thank you. Thanks very much. Enjoy the rest of your festival. Thank you.